maybe Maggie also mentioned.
What should I do?
All right,
Now, hello.
we're good.
Okay.
I think Maggie told you that people may interrupt and ask questions if that's okay. And we'll have Martina and Carolina who are here. Martina was at Columbia as a postdoc. And Carolina, I don't know your background.
That's all right.
But they're both now editors at Communications, Earth and Environment, and they'll tell you all about that journal and how it fits into the Nature family, Springer Nature family of journals. And I think, as an editor, I was an editor at Nature Geoscience for a few years, and there's just so much misunderstanding about what goes on behind the scenes, but on the part of academics. Even people who are like, senior researchers often don't really understand what we do. So I think this can be a really useful exercise.
Yeah, so if you probably will be too easy, or maybe you have a question, just ask the internet. I think not many people can have a discussion about that. Anyway, so my name is Martina, and I'm very Russian name, but it's okay. You don't. I did my postdoc here at Columbia University, and then I did another postdoc at the University of Minnesota. Where the project grew down to. And then I become the editor at Nature Climate Change for about a year. So if you have any question about the publishing in Nature Climate Change specifically, GPB journals, and ask if I know still. Anyway, I'll move to the editor at Communication, Earth and Environment. That's what we're gonna focus and show how it really fits in the whole portfolio. And I do handle, as an editor, a variety of topics. I'm focusing now more on environmental social science, but I also handle land use change, some biochemistry. We now reshuffling the areas, so I may even handle air pollution, water pollution, stuff like that.
Yeah. So my name is Carolina Ortiz, and I joined the journal 6 months ago. I did a PhD in the University of Florida, a postdoc in Cal State, and I've always been very interested in the process of communicating science. So I joined this journal recently. Within the journal, I take mostly submissions in geochemistry, paleoclimate, and science communication, and sometimes I manage other solid earth topics with my colleague Joe Aslin. So both of us are based in New York City, but our journal is actually based in London and the US. So we are the representatives here, plus our colleague Ali Reza Bahadouri. Which couldn't come this time. So, yes, we're going to introduce the journal. Let's begin with this. First of all, we wanted to know, who of you is familiar with the communications journals on Nature? All right, so maybe half and half. So I'll introduce you to this collection of journals that started on 2017. With only 3 of them, but now we are 8. These journals are all open access and they have an online only format. These journals are based on the specific disciplines, and what we aim to publish is to publish novel and conceptual advances within these specific disciplines. So in comparison to other journals within the Nature family, we apply a less stringent criteria for publication. Still, we look for high quality level on our publications. So also something that is very characteristic of this group of journals is that we are a group of editors that work in-house, professional editors like Martina and I. but we also work with external editors, which are normally active researchers within their fields and are active in academia. So just to give you a brief overlook of where we stand in a scale of selectivity in here, you can find the communication journals here at the base of this range. So being Nature, the top and most selective of the journals, the one that everyone knows, the one that publishes groundbreaking research that is available to experts and sometimes to non-experts too, managing this only with in-house editors. And then following that scale of selectiveness, we have the Nature research journals, Nature communications. So research journals are journals such as Nature Geoscience, and here climate change that Martina was talking about. And then we are here at the base, close to scientific reports in here.
Yeah, I think that we are much close to Nature Communication. That's sort of our closest sister journal. We really work with them closely, but the editors, I will talk about the transfers soon. But it's really, sometimes people mix up Nature Communication and they say Nature Communication Earth and Environment. And then they get upset that we're making a lot of confusion. But I guess it's unfortunate the naming, but we are two different journals, but we are connected very closely. So in the quality, we do differ, but maybe we are at the bottom of the whole pyramid system where the nature is at the top, we are at the base. But the quality of our work is increasing as well. We'll show that too. So we can kind of pick up those papers from the top, from those nature research journals, and take them in. And then we kind of release them, we select something, we release them back to the scientific reports. Okay, so it's kind of a pyramid. The idea is to have a home for as many as research in a nature family. So that was the idea of the comms. And sort of, Carolina will talk about it right now, this more specifically.
Oh, okay. Yeah, in specific to Earth and environment. Right now, we are publishing research in Earth, environment, and planetary sciences as well. This research that is published is meant to be basically of interest of the specialized public on these areas, right? For like very focused on these areas. So right now our impact factor is of 7.9, but we are expecting this to keep on growing on the next couple of months. And just like to highlight, following what Martina was talking about, the journal is meant to accept this research that is of very good quality, but it's not necessarily, like global scale or this like multidisciplinary research of research teams that are distributed globally. We also value like small scale research. We value local research. And for this is very important for early career researchers as well.
I think that's one of the things that we selected, but that selected on novelty is less than nature research journals. So for us, we even publish confirmatory research, interesting confirmatory research that sort of fill up the whole picture of when we're assessing a globe and stuff like that. So really for us, it's important that technical soundness is really you present a robust results, that your methods are really supported, so that we really selective, but not that selective like up there in nature, but we really like the sound and great science.
All right, so apart from what we do, we are also constantly building editorially curated collections on a broad range of topics. We are aiming at a number of 11 to 12 collections a year. So this is something that is very dynamic and it is going very, very fast. And what we're doing here is to kind of discuss among editors what are the most hot and trending topics that are being discussed within the research communities. And we try to gather important papers on these topics for having a place for researchers to go and, have a place like this sort of, would say, like online libraries of research that has come about like 2 or maximum 3 years, 3 years ago, and like profundize a bit in depth. And these collections are meant to gather many type of submissions, not only research articles, but also commentary pieces, review papers, and all of other varieties that we publish. So right now we have in the planetary sciences one collection that is the Wind, Water, and Dust on Mars collection. I should say that these collections are also cross-journal collections. So we tend to collaborate with Nature Geoscience, Nature Climate Change, all the other journals that we were mentioning before in these collections. So yeah, we invite you all to check on them and see like the ones that are open for submissions right now. They are normally out there for 1 year, open for submissions. And this is just like one example of like what we have right now.
Yes, so these collections actually are not meant to increase submissions. But we kind of want to say that these are meant to sort of put your research next to the, for example, research which was published in Nature Climate Change or in Nature, and put them together sort of so they can complement each other. You can see it more from, your research can sit with a similar research. And we find it very useful because we find it that it can be useful, presenting. Recently, our colleague mentioned that, carbon dioxide removal was very interesting in workshop to show what has been published. It's kind of nice resource when you start a research report has been published. Very much populated is progress on sustainable development goals. That has tons of research which has been published across the whole portfolio. So I think whoever have a guts to do research would actually and distill what has been done in that area would be interesting. So I want to say something. We sometimes accuse that we are predatory journal. And then I receive sometimes these kind of comments from when I ask reviewers. And these collections are not really meant to be that we want to, as much as research, we choose the papers which goes to those collections. We still select it. We make the call, we send emails to the potential owners, but we in the end select only the best one to go there. So it's very selective process as well. And these collections are meant to reflect sort of current trends. So if you have any idea about trending topics, maybe you can let us know what you feel like it's sort of a trending at this point in your area. We would like to hear that too. But this selection is based on discussion with our editorial board members, our research which we do every year. We research other journals outside the portfolio, see what they publish. So,
all right, so I'll go quickly through this slide. This is just the content that we publish. So the core of our journal are the research articles, of course. Apart from this, we're also publishing reviews and analysis, commentary pieces. Editors also write editorial pieces and research highlights. But really what distinguishes us from other journals is like the main research articles. Now, going back to who works on this journal, you mentioned in the beginning that it is a group of internal editors, and we're also working hand in hand with the external editorial board members that we call EBMs. So these active researchers take approximately 50% of our submissions, always hand in hand with one of the internal editors, and they are very active in their role as researchers that are always talking about like the latest research, doing outreach of our journal. They are very active in writing comments, in writing reviews as well. Even most of our collections are handled by the editorial board members because we value them a lot. And yeah, right now there's 93 editorial board members. We're always seeking new editorial board members through all the year. So if you want to check maybe through your scientific career and you would be interested on also having one hint of what is an editorial job, you can check our journal too.
We have on our website, if you click, there is a link, and you can click on the editor board and you can fill up the form which goes to our editor-in-chief, and we review those applications on a regular basis. So I think we constantly seeking a new people. The older one retire or for whatever reason they don't want to continue or they have another engagement. So, and we also expanding them. So we need new people to actually help us.
All right, so in this part of the presentation, do you guys have any question? We're gonna kind of.
May I just
do
ask
a
a quick question? I hope it's
here.
okay to ask. For,
Yes.
for your editorial board, is that a paid job or a volunteer?
Yeah, it is paid. Actually, you will get sort of like it's not a super high salary. It's just like about €1,000, I believe, a month. And our super editors who are now promoted to the lead, we now sort of changing a structure that we also assigned a lead editorial board members who meet up with the other editorial members. So they kind of pay higher amount. I don't know how much, but there is like sort of.
Like a retribution,
Yeah.
not sort of like a salary, but a retribution too.
And then there's a
That's
discount if
collaboration.
you publish with us, and there's discount on publication as well.
Right.
Publishing of the nature, so it has a benefits that
Got it. Thanks.
nature, but it's the work for the community.
All right. So let's go and talk about our editorial process. Martina will lead this part.
Yeah, so maybe for some of you who are familiar with these kind of things, because, I'm gonna do the basics. What I feel like an editor, what I see when I always panic. And I published too, I did lots of mistakes. I do want to say before you submit, I think it's important that you write a story. That's what we're looking for, is a story. You have a data, you have experiments, but that basically doesn't say anything. And we always say, show, do not tell. So we do not really like when you say this is novel, this is new. We will find out whether it's new or whether you first, because we do thorough research. Maybe in this journal, in communication, or thing, we move faster. But in Nature research journals, I assure you, I did almost 2 days research on whether remaining carbon budget, which new estimates actually is new or not. And that's, I think that my advice to you is really explain clearly what is a novel that you are researching. Here me kind of using the article which we published recently. I really like it because the title really show you what was the result of the study. And as an editor, I love it because it already catch my attention. You already get me and I want to read it more. So here the authors actually say they found new abandoned Nile branch. They also made a really nice abstract where they're putting the research in the context. They are clear in the questions they are asking and how they did, what methods, remote sensing, which makes sense like obvious. But I assure you that 80% of papers we received, I don't know what is the result. It's just something, think about your story very logically. Think about how the readers or editors will perceive it, because that matters. If we as editors don't understand what you're writing, we're not going to move forward. Okay, so I think that I understand as a researcher, I was so tired doing your research, digging the data, and then you have to write. And maybe it's time to step back, take time, and really think about the story, because that really matters. And here. So one of the things which comes with
But the submission is the cover letter. I know it's a boring, and I know we all make the same mistake when we see on and on that authors always address the wrong journal, which it's okay, but does not really look very professional. So I just kind of check this out before you send it. Again, use the cover letter like sort of like an interview, explain why we should care about that. I often look it up and I'm thinking about what is this paper actually is about. If you give me some context, implication, why should we even care? We often use it in discussion when we do triad, when we discuss between editors whether we should keep the paper or not. And if you really highlight clearly why is this important, why we should care, that matters. And again, you can even put the reviewers, name of the reviewers you want to avoid, or you want us to contact, we only contact one because we want to avoid conflict of interest, but you can suggest, we're open to suggestions. So this cover letter is important, could be short, but make sure you correctly address the journal.
I'm gonna confess, I didn't read the cover letters unless I didn't understand what was important about the paper from reading the paper. But I don't know, in Nature Geoscience, we read the entire paper every single time. I don't know if you're also doing that at Communications or.
We do too, but we do it fast.
Yeah.
And it,
This is gonna be very important for you.
For us, it's
Yes.
important because often authors mention that they want a double blind review, and that sort of serve us to check if we kind of seal the submissions, that it's not seen. So I do find the cover letters important. I would not underestimate, but I do understand why you go directly to the paper and read. But I often go and do check, because if I don't understand the paper itself, I try to help myself with the cover letter.
Yeah.
yeah. Sometimes when it is technical, the cover letter can really help an editor to decide if this actually has some impact on the research community or not, because that's where you can just like do plain spoken language and like talk it.
And
Maybe not in the abstract, but you have to like really use the scientific language, but yeah.
yeah, and there was a really nice editorial actually published by Nature Geoscience a few years back, which you can look it up. And I put here these at heading. So if you write graphic cover letters, Nature Geoscience, you can find some guidance on that. I think it's quite useful. So let's open up the black box and see what happened when we received the manuscript. I know it looks like you're going to be murdered, but hopefully not. So this editorial process in Nature, in our journals, your submission goes to editor-in-chief, who actually send it to assign the editor who is in your area, who cover your area. And we also further assign it to editorial board member if there is a specialty we need to be covered. And then we move with the review process, or we do test quick reject, or we move with the review process, and then you go revise, accept. I will go through different steps right now. So when you submit, we do quick initial assessment. That assessment, now, as Jonathan said, is much longer in the nature research journals. That's why you may get a longer response, because the editors really do thorough research on the paper. Okay, we want to be sure that we really gonna publish and send the paper out of review that make some sort of advance and is interesting for a readership of the given of the magazine. For our journal, what I'm looking for, I'm telling you what I'm looking for is be clear about your objectives. Once again, if I don't know what is the objective of that paper, I'm not going to move with that. I don't know what is the results. Again, what is the results clearly, and what is the objective, and what are the conclusion? And what we're looking at is that if that paper kind of can change the thinking in a field, somehow. It could be a marginal novelty, but it can spark some sort of interest. Again, it has to be really kind of give us some sense that you did some interpretation. How did you interpret your result? Is it just the presentation of descriptive analysis of the numbers. I've seen it a lot, that the people kind of describing numbers from the table that does not say anything. You know, that's again not a story, that's a data paper that goes to the scientific data journal. You know, it has to have some breadth, it has to be deep, a little bit deeper than that. So if you have all these ingredients, we move for the review. In our journal, we satisfy with the 2 people if we cover all expertise. Nature journals will probably don't move with the 2 people. They will probably ask for 3 or 4. Here we kind of little fast moving, so we okay with 2, and that review process can even take up to 120 days. Unfortunately, today, it's very hard to find people to review for us. Not for us also, but also across the nature portfolio, we're experiencing that is a really lots of people sort of rejecting to review. So it takes us a while, especially when we have to screen each person, because that person has to be not related to you and to your whatever group you work in. So that takes time. So I want to ask people, I receive lots of email, angry authors saying it takes too long. Okay, but we're not taking a coffee, we're searching. We do really strive for diversity. We try to go to researchers from Global South a lot to ask for the review. Well, there's also a tendency of some of the editors to go to the same people often. I know that some nature journals do that. They have sort of even agreement, some people, but we should not be using the same editor, I would say, in 3 months, at least that's my threshold, and always seeks a new reviewers, which is difficult. So Nature Communication actually started this program for reviewing with a senior researcher. There is an article in the Nature Communication which was published around beginning of March, so you're going to check it out. And I think we not participate in that. We love postdoc and PhDs to do actually review, but we do understand that it might be kind of difficult when you do it for the first time. So I would check with the Nature Communication. They do run some program. I know there are master classes within the Nature to tell you how to do proper review. I think that the postdoc and PhD early careers saving these journals. They basically help us. Without them, we would not publish anything. And it's often, my experience is the reports are excellent. They are much better than some of the senior stuff. It is just a underused resource. And we value our reviewers, especially in our journal. We always choose the best reviewer of the month. So we post them. We feel that I think that reviewers are basically sort of a foundation of what we're doing, and they are underappreciated. And I think as a company, we're realizing that, and we have to find a way how to value them. But also institutions have to value that you spend time reviewing, and you're part of that article. Basically, I've seen papers improve tremendously with a good review. It's amazing. And then the people who review really deserve more recognition. So we're gonna fight for that in years to come. So when we go for revise, when you're lucky to go for revise, what we're looking is
How many do you desk reject?
what we send for the review is 60%. I do 50 to, I don't do 60, I do 50%. Nature does 10%, I believe, and the Nature Communication 30 to 40. So we go with the 50, and by the time after post review, we end up with a 30% anyway. So it is still very selected. Yeah. So with the revision, that's again that's again one of the hurdle which people don't understand, that you just can't be saying this is not possible and that reviewer is wrong. I see that a lot in this journal because we handle so many papers, and so many papers has issues, and people are, I'm sorry to say, very nasty, saying that the reviewer is simply not professional, he's not from the field, and it is really, I would say, it's sort of not fair to us as editors, and I understand that Ute is sometimes angry, but they're not explaining properly why what they doing is correct and why additional analysis or data collection is not needed. So again, explain in detail why what the reviewer suggested is not correct. Just don't say, oh, you don't understand what I'm doing. I've seen it so many times and I feel like I don't want to even deal with this. So really take it, stay professional, really, because, and I know that the reviewers are sometimes very mean too. We don't always disclose those information to you because, or we have to kind of correct the report. I don't even can't tell you what I have seen. We have to redact it from the report. But let's all stay professional when we say. Anyway, when we end up rejecting the paper, I just want to say it's mostly because you don't providing enough data or enough information, and they are really for us. It's important that the paper is sound, your methodology is sound, your data are updated, up to date. And then your conclusion are supported by your data and analysis. That's what is important for us. Once you don't reach this, we will have to reject, but by reject, your life does not end. And we have options for you. We want you to stay in our family. And that's why we invented a transfer process. So this transfer is actually go all the way from the nature to the NPJ journals. I don't know, I didn't really mention them, but probably can mention them in the end. So if you get rejected from us, we suggest a transfer to the scientific report or other specialized NPJ journals. So we could initiate consultation, mostly we don't do, and scientific reports most likely will take you with all your reports. You don't need to, you submit your paper again with the link you provided, and all the information about the reviewers and your reports go to another journal. So the review process doesn't need to start all over again. And we start with the original review and then go back to the original reviewers if they are actually willing to do so. And then we again review the paper. But here, because we're not so selected, we tend to tell reviewers, listen, we're not that strict on novelty. We don't care about what you're saying about this. For us, tell us that the methods is sound or the results are robust and be published. Okay, so the same things does scientific reports, but we tend to, and we like to go to original reviewers if we can, because that's a continuity of the process. Often they say yes, some of them no, then we have to restart. It's also, we would like to know if you agree with that. Some people don't like that, unfortunately, because they feel offended with some of those reviewers. So it's possible that authors can contact us saying we do not wish to be to go with the same reviewers. We will have to respect that. But most of the time, we do go back. So we have this transfer session on a daily basis with the Nature Research Journals, Nature Communications. Often the editor of editors come to us and say, listen, there's a great study. Would you like to have it? We read the paper quickly. We say yes or no, and we guarantee to send it out of the review. So you come with your decision letter, you will see that the Communication and Earth and Environment will send it out of the review. You don't need to wait for initial assessment, you automatically go for the review. And those are the transfers. We also are thinking about the transfer upwards as we improving and getting a more quality paper. May happen that authors may submit because they simply like us. But the paper is so good that we may initiate transfer at the higher, but it's again, the decision is only up to the authors. We do not influence the authors. It's your own decision, which journal you want to go to. We suggest that you go to scientific reports. If you go back to Nature, that's your choice. You know, maybe you succeed. I see a lot of people from my experience circulating across the Nature portfolio. You can see, we can as an editor see where the authors actually went to. And sometimes it's good to try. I do encourage you, if you send to Nature Climate Change, do try Nature Sustainability, do try Nature Geoscience, because there is an overlap of the topics. So Nature Nature Climate Change might be more selective on certain topic than Nature Geoscience. And you might be lucky that they choose you. So I do encourage you, do try, don't give up, but always come back to us. So,
Don't give up.
don't give up. So when we get to the accept, we said we fully online here, and what really differs us from, again, the Nature Research Journal, that they are limited in a space because they go also on paper, they published, right? They generating issues, so they are limited on words you can use. Everything is controlled. Here, no. You want to have a method, 100 pages, you got it. We want all the details. That's what matters, transparency. You need it, and I see that, for example, that now those AI tools, you need to publish the prompts, and those prompts are sometimes 100 pages. We ask you to put it on a public repositories. All the data has to be publicly available or available to all researchers. No go. We do not accept the statement. Data will be available on request. In our journal, Nature Geoscience and Big Nature, no go. Everything has to be public.
You mean at the time of submission or at the time of?
At the time of when you go, and you will be sent a letter that your paper is accepted in principle, you will get a special instruction, and that instruction say that all data has to be published or has to be publicly available. So we having issues with several authors who complaining that their project is not finished, they don't want to disclose the data. I'm simply gonna block this kind of situation because we believe that those data has to be published and has to be available. The same thing with your review report. Everything's gonna be published with your paper, review report, your responses, and decision letter. I forgot to say that when I was talking about the review, but all these informations are published. We do not disclose if you transfer from Nature Geoscience or whatever. This it's nobody's business. So we just kind of cloud that. But all other information, how you responded, what was asked, everything is published. So we kind of try to be as much as transparent as we can. What I want to say, yeah, so your paper will appear on our website, and there's always like a few lines if you see, and this is, we call it editorial summary. That's what editor write, and it's sort of a summary to one sentence about your research. So difficult to write always, but it's just your result and the method. So this is something what we will show you. You can edit. And we also try to help you to write your title. And in many cases, we also edit abstract. But to a less extent, you will see in the Nature, they will completely change your abstract before this get published. Here, when you published, not many people know that actually Springer Nature offer a blog, which we call Behind the Paper. I really do encourage you to look it up, because it's kind of a good way to share your research with the community. In a plain language, you can say what you did, what motivates you, why did you do that research? I personally find it really cool, because if your paper is really technical, this can sort of, be accessible to a different disciplines. I know I love it, I like to read it, so there are also other readers. So, but I just want you to point out that this is open. When you publish with us, you can, I think it's for free anyway, so
Yeah.
good research. And then Carolina gonna do.
Oh, yeah. So just as closing remarks, after your paper is published out there, as a journal, we also like to do some social media outreach, which is basically Twitter/X. Our account is @ComsEarth, but also we pitch like the most impactful papers to the Nature Portfolio Twitter account. So they also tweet about that. So in our account, what we normally do is also publish this sort of small summaries about what papers are about. but like if you really like to engage in social media, you will see like all sort of conversations that start in there, or authors that are tagged and that they recommend papers to another research lab. So we really like this place. Martina and I, we are handling the social media account right now, because it's a place where immediately as your paper is out, you don't have to wait like for the organization where you work at to work on their press release, but we will also highlight your paper. We try to do it for most of the papers. We probably don't have the time for all of them, but the most impactful, they are out there. Also, when the editors, when we are like visiting into conferences or meetings, we like also to upload that information. Other type of commentary, articles
Yeah,
that we
or
publish
collection.
there, or collections where collections are launched, they're also in there.
Sometimes we also tweet, so with our sister journals published
Yeah.
some of them, especially we very close with the nature reviews, what is it, earth and environment. Okay, so that's sort of our closest, I would say, with the background and area of the research, but they only publish reviews and perspective. You will not succeed with the articles there.
All right, and the last part of the outreach that we do is as an editorial board, we select one article per week that we pitch to the Nature Portfolio Media and Press Office. They are based in London. So basically, this is the way that one paper can get into news outlets like worldwide. And we have had quite a success in the last 2 or 3 months. We've had papers that we've seen that are their press releases are written in global newspapers such as BBC, CNN, Los Angeles Times have published papers that we have also pitched out to this office. So it's a great way to put science out there. Normally, this office also gets in touch with the authors. They verify the information that is like communicated on the press release, of course, and a lot of these fantastic articles have interviews to the authors. So we love seeing these. This is like a really exciting for us to see when a paper goes out there and you've seen it like burn from the seed when as a submission, and then like from revision to being out there and actually impacting into someone's life, or just like sparkling interest in science. So yeah, this is, I think,
The thing is that
it's
also the
there.
portfolio, sometimes do the video, so video promotion, so they work with the Uta to do video. We had one about the Rider River. I think that the Egyptian pyramid are coming right now. What I want to highlight that lots of our papers are audited by authors from Global South, and I did not mention that, but it is also our focus to really encourage those authors to publish with us, because they often fail with the nature journals. So for us, we can handle them. We can handle their paper for kind of longer work with them to push that paper to the finish line, because we see that there's a difference between Western and South, it's that divide. But here we want to show some of other papers which kind of get a lot of attention, has been accessed by hundreds, thousands of people recently. So this also speaks to the quality and interest of the community in the papers we published. Last year, our colleague, handled the paper about the penguins, which was sort of like a big headline by the end of August. And, it's interesting because it's really most of these papers you see, they actually come from the nature research journals. So you see, those are great studies, and they did not find a home in nature research journals, but they still really impactful. And the reason is that maybe that focus is so local, so maybe focus on specific species or specific area, or they just add up a little bit so the nature research journals kind of reject them. But then they upset, so we make a PR. And so, yeah, so if you want to submit, there's the website, or you can always Google us, but anyway, this is where you can submit our paper, and if you wanna, we usually don't discuss the submission over the email. We rather have the paper submitted and then we provide the feedback. And then, we also have the email address, follow us on Twitter. And again, if you want to be a board member, please do fill out the application. We welcome everybody. We welcome anyhow. As I said, we load it. You will see a lots of interesting papers. You would not believe it.
Yeah, or if you ever want to review a paper for us, you can also write to us,
Yeah.
and we have our database of researchers that are, maybe you don't have publications coming up soon, but you want to know what's out there in your topic, so we may reach out to you when we are searching for reviewers. So thank you so much for listening to us here and online, and thanks for having us and inviting us over. It's great.
Yeah. Please come in nature. Nature is the best.
Yeah, so if you have any questions, what you thought about, like, saying about this editorial behind the curtains process.
A lot to consume.
That's it.
So if no one else does, I have a couple. So what do you think of as your peer or competitor journals outside of Nature?
Which are them?
What do you think of as them? Yeah, so, so I think something that every time Nature comes out with a new journal, or especially a new tier of journals, I don't think it's always clear to the community where they rank. I think the community tends to overvalue them because they're Nature.
Yeah.
And I think they misunderstand what they are when scientific reports came out. I don't think most of the community understood what that journal's identity was. I had my advisor was, had a paper that he thought should be in Nature Geoscience. They suggested transferring it to scientific reports. Of course, in lots of CVs, you used to see, not as often anymore, like a publication of Nature scientific reports, right? So,
Yeah.
but, and I tried to convince him that this is, if you think this is a high impact paper, scientific reports is not the journal you want it to go to. But he did understand and he sent it there. And for a while, people did that. And scientific reports got a very high impact factor because I think of this misunderstanding. So when you have I think I have a sense of, this is a tier below Nature Communications, but there's you have a very impressive impact factor already. Part of that is probably because of the transfer recommendation. There's a colleague here who was recommended transfer and then was surprised at the end of the day that Nature wasn't part of the title. So there's this kind of misunderstanding. But it looks to me like this is going to be much closer to Nature Communications than it is to scientific report.
Yes,
But it's hard to know what that means,
in comparison.
because if I get rejected from Nature Geoscience, maybe I would rather go to PNAS if I think this is one of those papers that got a lot of attention. Or maybe I want to go to Geophysical Research Letters, what are the journals that you think of as?
I think definitely geophysical research letters, Earth planetary science letters too, geology, the journal Geology for sure. Like we are very much on the same kind of an advance and novelty that we are looking for. What others have you had on the
I think
competitors?
one of the thing is you have to be thinking where you want to publish, because you giving example of very specialized journals. We are very broad scope. I love it from my research background. I'm a very interdisciplinary person. I love to learn from a different disciplines. For me, this journal would be options, because I want to know what your paper is put next to the social science, environmental science, earth science. And I feel like for me, this is great, because I think that we can blend, we can cross-fertilize the field. But if you want to be really in the specialized journals, then your option is obviously somewhere else. And I think that's where NPJ's journal stands right now, at least me. Climate and atmospheric science and stuff like they more specialized. We don't. So You decided to go to the scientific advances, that's your own choice, of course. But I do see a lot of time that they will come back because they forget to change the cover letter. So, once again, it is, you have to find, you think about where you want to really be, who is gonna be your reader, you know? You wanna have specialized audience, then you probably fit there, you know? We do every year competitor analysis, so we're looking at, for example, global environmental change, regional environmental change. For example, in certain area where I am, science of the total environment is now 10, I think. And that the journal over the years kind of increased. So that's, I think, that where we're standing, you know, that broad type of journals. But I think that we kind of fill up the gap in the market. I feel it from my point of view.
Yeah.
You know, because we all work in a different fields, but as I said, very multidisciplinary. I love it. I think that multidisciplinary research, transdisciplinary research get a long way with the citation. You know, it stays a really, really long time. So once again, think about it. Who are your readers? Where you want to be?
And since you mentioned the nature partner journals, even when I was there, I didn't exactly understand how they fit. So these are, like Nature NPJ Climate. I can't remember what the full title of that one is.
Climate and atmospheric science.
CJ Natural Hazards.
Yeah, they
So
are.
so the climate one, for example, is like it's King Hussein, like it's a Saudi university that is the host.
I don't think so. We bought it. We bought all the nature.
You bought back the,
Yeah, they all belong to Nature Family. They actually now in a group, we are now managed by one head. We are with the Nature communication journals and NPJ. We are under one management, and they are
so where do they fit?
Whether they fit, they are very, that's what I think, that they are very different. As I said, it could, some of them has a impact factor 16 or 18, which is comparable to Nature communication, right? But they are specialized in the areas. We have an NVG, agriculture, sustainability, complexity was now released. So they very specialized, and I think that they becoming popular among the authors, I would say. I recently looked up the climate and atmospheric science, and the research they are published is really nice. They have an impact of about 10, and I think they kind of jumping over us and go to NPJs. But you know what it is? I think that authors also think about the editorial process and editorial sort of management. Some people still prefer academic editors. Okay, there's that preference. Then NPJs is the solution. Some people still don't really not like the in-house editors. They don't know what kind of read is that. Should I trust that person? So really back in the days was only academic editors, right? So that NPJ actually fill up that gap for those people who really want to be assessed only by academics themselves.
But they did used to be almost independent of the rest of Nature.
Yeah, but they are now completely part of that, completely small, I think. So, and they are interesting. I think they kind of, many of them go up because they picked up very interesting papers from the Nature. I know that Nature people, suggesting transparency and PJs all the time. So, yeah, so they will grow too. So those impact factors, I feel like it's gonna dilute in one point. Just.
I mean, I really empathize with the difficulty finding reviewers because, it was hard at Nature Geoscience to find reviewers. And
Yeah,
there's just always more journals,
right.
more papers, yeah.
Yeah, it is more and more research. I don't know where most of the other submission come from United States, Europe, and China. And the situation is even worse in Nature research journals. We at least publish some of the research from researchers from the global South Africa and Southeast Asia, Latin America. We have the capacity to work with those authors. But majority of the market is China right now. It's even outpacing United States. Yeah. the submission, there are more submissions than, but they are just not that good on accept. Okay, so they submit more, but the acceptance rate for them is lower. But otherwise, excellent research, and lots of interesting research coming from China. It's amazing. I mean, people don't really realize that, but it's a lot. I think in United States, we need to do a little bit better.
About what percentage of the reviewers are passing?
Oh. 70%,
Yeah.
80%. But they say no, that
Oh,
they
they
cannot
say-
review.
Oh,
about
yeah,
percent,
yeah. It's usually.
Also depends on the field, there's fields that there's really like 5 research groups globally where you can look for. And it's hard to not find a conflict of interest, previous collaborations, so it gets hard in there. But yeah, it varies, but we have out of 10 requests we send, we will catch the 2 or 3 that we need.
Yeah.
So at least I would say
Yeah,
that.
that's when we stay with the 2 people. If we cover all the disciplines, we can move on with the
Yeah.
2 people because we really want to have that. We are fast moving, journal. We want that decision to be quick for the authors, but still provide that quality, which is kind of hard. But that's why we aim for a really early career, postdocs.
Yeah, and we also receive reviewer suggestions if you're ever doing a submission, like adding 5 names on the cover letter of people that's in your field that you don't have conflict of interest. We'll take at least one of those and send them like the requested, as long as the expertise is relevant, of course.
It is an uphill battle. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just, it's a little bit frustrating for me in the morning and seeing the bunch of papers which I have to send up for review. And I get one answer, yes, and another 20 no. So it's just ongoing process. And, the tools which we use is basically Google Scholar, Web of Science. We also have a company now, new tool, but really, it's just, I think we still need to find out where are all these people?
We appreciate it, like when we see like complete profiles of researchers that have their websites, like an email address where you can reach out, that you don't have to really dig on like the paper they published 15 years ago, and you wonder like, is this still active at yahoo.com? I don't know. So we do like encourage you, like if you're an active researcher and you really want to be involved with the research community, get yourself up there, make yourself a profile, like ResearchGate, all of these platforms that exist out there. And just we will look out for you, and like we really want to work with you as the experts. That you're the ones that guide us for us to make the final editorial decisions.
Yeah, one of the things which I didn't point out is that Nature realized that we have only a few female authors, corresponding authors, and that's a big issue that men still dominate the submission across the portfolio. We have about 20%, 23% of paper we publish are published by women, and then the rest are men. And that even get worse in Nature. Nature was the only 40% of women actually publish, which it's kind of hard on our part. We would like to publish more, but it's also, I think, institutional issues that lots of women, especially in environmental social sciences, are still, that percentage is low. And so this is something which we kind of try to address, but I don't think as editors, we can do much about it, like we do try to push it, but it's also about the quality of the paper. But it's something which we see being really is a huge gender disparity here.
Has anyone written an editorial, any of the journals
I think,
about?
yeah,
Yes.
Nature did.
Mhm, mhm. Geoscience also has one.
Yes.
Like 2 or 3 years ago, probably during COVID. Yeah.
And that the same thing is as editors, the female, lesbian, men's, also that's kind of changing. Also looking at the localities that we sort of bias because we submission from China, but there's only few Chinese editors, so that has to change. Also, the editors from other parts of the world, right? So that's why I think it's quite good to look for reviews from Global Savvy. It's unbelievable. You can find really nice research actually there, but you have to do some digging. And the reviews come also very nice. So, and that's what we do with our editorial board. We really want to have people from across from different countries because that gives you a different views too. So it is this. That's a big issue right now.
Talking about the editorial board, I have a question. How do you work with the editorial board? So do you, like, does one member of the editorial board like take care of the whole like paper, or you ask his opinion depending on their like his or her opinion, depending on like the subject of the paper, or
Yeah.
how does that?
The editorial board basically do the same job like we do, but they handle less papers. They handle paper right from the beginning. They do initial assessment based on their specialty. They have to find the reviewers. We oversee their assessments, and we kind of discuss that together. If we disagree, but sometimes the editorial board member does not want to send it out, we feel they want to send it out, so then we take it over. And the editorial board member basically handle the paper until they accept. So they will oversee the review report. And again, we do work with them very closely. So what they write, we discuss that with them as well. Their expertise is great, sometimes we would not, because it's such a wide range of disciplines that you really need that expertise about it.
Yeah, and sometimes in assessing novelty, they are great at that because, like the researchers are active on conferences, like reading for their own publications. So we may spend, I don't know, like half an hour looking for possibly overlap with other research, but the researcher EBM would be like, oh, this was made already by blah, blah. So it's great. It's a great team work, but a paper that is handled by them, like they do have like the last decision on what they are deciding. We can guide, like Martina was saying. They would never deal like with formatting like issues, which is the last after accept in principle work. That's like more in-house with us. So it's as I was saying, it's something that it's really, if you like the science, you like your community, you should give it a try.
So it is basically editorial work. It is just have to do assessments. Some people are good in that. I think good in that, they do good assessments. Some people are really good researchers.
And you expect them to read the entire paper.
Some of them they do. They have about the week.
Most of them.
Most of them do. They do thorough. Yeah. Because they have time. I do over the diagonal basically. So just do the quick scan. I know which part to look at. They do it. They do thorough assessment. Most of them. That will give you really nice overview. That so.
So how many papers are they assigned?
They handle maximum 3 papers a month.
Or some of them they pick up even more. So we have some super stars who really can pick up a lot.
And
So-
how many do you handle per day on average?
Yes.
Yeah. So at Nature Geoscience, it was usually about 2.
Oh no,
Yeah.
more.
we
But also different stages. Like
But I guess
New
new submissions.
Monday I got 8.
That was a lot though, right?
That's a lot.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
that's a lot.
what on our job, we just don't do assessment. I feel like in nature research, you do assessment, but here we have to do accept check, we have to do those AIP, the final, send the final decision with editorial requests. So assign the reviewers, work with the editorial board members. So your day is so varying. I feel like in nature research journals, editors really spend reading the paper all day. I remember I read 2 papers a day. That was my job. Forget about reading. You don't have that time. You have to answer the angry emails. You have to work with the editorial board members. You have to accept the paper. And to kind of, it is overwhelming. This journal is overwhelming. And because it has so many papers, you see a lot of issues, so it's very different. So if you guys like reading, try to position in nature. We'll read a lot. I'm sure that we're still hiring actually. As I said to Jonathan, we will be launching another 3 journals. I believe it's Nature Biodiversity is coming and Nature Clean
Reviews that
Technology.
biodiversity.
Yeah, that's a review. So
Yeah.
this will be a review. So Nature Reviews Clean Technology is coming. And then Nature Reviews Biodiversity.
Yes.
And I don't know what is the third one. That's probably some mini medicines. But they are basically every 3 launches. This year we launched Nature Cities. So
Chemical engineering.
yeah, chemical engineering was too. So Nature Cities, it's quite interesting. I think I hear a lot of people telling me that we jeopardize on each other content. But I would say that it's kind of, it's not true because I feel like we try to work together, and that's what I think makes the nature stronger. Because behind the scene, we have a community when we work as editors together, and that if people see it as a jeopardizing of each other content, then it's wrong, It's just that collaboration between journals make that nature portfolio really strong and interesting. So.
And it's been maybe 15 years since the first Nature Research Journal, maybe 16, I don't know.
Was it like, or maybe earlier, wasn't something in Nature, in 1983, something was published?
A Nature Research Journal?
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen it recently, but it was something in medicine, in immunology or something, and it was a research journal, actually, way in mid-80s.
Oh. Well, there weren't very many until 15.
It was just
ago, yeah.
one, all of a sudden.
And then there's just, do you know how many there are now?
Research, no.
The research, I did not count them, but
That's
definitely.
a lot.
So proud.
That every year the company does research and it needs to expand. And it's also a response to the market because the publishing market is expanding and there are new and new journals. And, we have to stay alive, moving. And one of the way is to actually expand, which seems contradictory, but obviously someone did research and it's not,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's a lot of research, so you have to kind of expanding, they believe it will sort of keep you moving, keep you going. And also, nature research journals by 2030 or 2035 should be fully online, fully open access.
Open access.
Moving, we are open access now, but they transitioning. Now currently at Nature Climate Change, 35% of content is actually online, or open, online. Open.
Online.
Open. So, but they will transition completely to
Yes.
because they see that we get so many hits because it's open, especially people from Global South where they don't have access, they will come and they cite those papers. They losing a lot on that, so.
So if you're at a research institution in the Global South, you usually have access to all of the not open access papers published.
If some institution do have some
I
institution.
think it's most.
I do still have a
bigger
request
ones.
actually on my research account. I
Yeah.
got recently a lot of, I look it up for long. I opened it up and it was like 18 requests for paper, some of the paper in Nature. I thought like, oh my God, so I would not say that everybody.
Not
has
everybody,
it,
for sure, yeah.
But I think it makes a really big difference when it's open, and some of those content locked research highlights, are locked. Not the research highlights. It's like that. I'm like,
One last question. How many papers do you publish in a month typically?
I don't know what.
Or in a week, yeah, or in a year.
Yeah, I would say it's, I would say
I'd say we're
300
publishing 2 or 3 a day in average, 2 or 3 a day.
That's what I don't know. But
So I would say 50 around a month, 40, 50.
that's too much.
Yeah.
I would say that we publish 300 to 400 a year. Because nature itself, nature journals, I know that target, they have a target 125 papers a year. So we do triple, I would say. Yeah, and we do maybe even more because it's.
Right now we're doing so much.
Yeah, we do much more. We already reached the target.
Good question. We need that number.
But I would say it's a triple number then. And I think that, I know that Gron was telling us that the management wants even more content from the nature research journals. So it will be more article, more space, but there's a hesitation about the quality and stuff.
Well, if I don't know if there's someone online but left. But thank you.
Questions go on.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah, please try to
Stick
stop me
around.
and we're looking forward.
All right.